Hello, and thank you for watching The Righteous Kitchen, a cooking and baking blog found at www.therighteouskitchen.blogspot.com. Today I am going to make buttermilk biscuits, and I want to walk you through some tips so that you'll have a nice, light, fluffy biscuit. I am going to use a blend of cake flour and a blend of all-purpose flour in equal amounts. This is to replicate the white lily flour. I didn't really want to make a trip to the store to get that when I could just make it at home. So the reason you want to use the white lily flour is it's more like pastry flour, and it has a lower protein point at 9% than the all-purpose flour at 12%. So if you take the all-purpose flour at 12% and the cake flour at 6% and divide them, you'll come up with the same 9% that you would get if you use the white lily flour. So there's a little hack for you. You don't have to pay the expensive price, or if it's not available in your area, you could just blend all-purpose and cake flour. So I have 1 cup of cake flour. And when you're measuring, let me show you real quick, when you're measuring, I always go through this, but scoop the flour into your cup. Just like they taught you in home ec. It's very important when you're baking to get an accurate measurement. So once you have that, take your knife. Get this bowl so I can show you. Take your knife and level the top off. Okay. And there's our oven. It is preheating to 450 degrees. So we have our 2 flours, which is at 9% protein, the same as the white lily. So let's just get this all incorporated. And to this, I am going to add 1/4 teaspoon baking soda. And again, you're filling it up and leveling it off. Accurate measurements really go a long way. And then 1 tablespoon baking powder. And we need 1 teaspoon of salt. The salt I like to measure into over a different container in case I overfill it. And then I just shake it to level. So that's 1 teaspoon of salt. Since I have my whisk out, I'm going to just whisk all this together. Now, I did a taste test on my Facebook page. You're welcome to join in on there. And I tested all lard. I did an all butter. And then I did a combo of the 2. And the combination of the butter and the lard was the clear winner. So I am going to just use that from now on. And that's going to be 3 tablespoons of the lard. If you can't find lard, you can use Crisco. About time to get some more lard. I have been making a lot of biscuits because I wanted to get these just perfect. Now I've always tested out biscuits and I love this recipe, but then I just played around a little bit more with the flour content and the fat. And then I have my 3 tablespoons of butter. I am going to put on some cooking gloves real quick. You don't have to, you could use your hands. But I want to incorporate this lard into the flour. So you just get your hands in there and just kind of press it into the flour. You just don't want any big clumps of lard. You want it kind of broken down. Okay. Now we have the 3 tablespoons of butter. And I'm going to just grate this into the bowl. The butter is nice and chilled. And I'm just using the flour to get it off of the back of this grater. All right. So I'm going to just toss this butter and work it in gently to this flour. And now you can see where it's looking a little bit like a sandy, coarse sand kind of a texture. I'm going to make a hole in the bottom of my bowl, and I have 3/4 of a cup of buttermilk. That is store-bought buttermilk. It doesn't matter if it's full fat, low fat. It's just buttermilk. I prefer the store-bought buttermilk as opposed to making your own, because your own doesn't get as thick as the store-bought buttermilk. All right. Now I'm going to switch over to a wooden spoon because my hands are warm and I want to keep this kind of cool as possible. And I'm just going to blend this till it comes together. And I don't want to overwork it. I want to just bring it to where it's coming off the sides of the bowl and all that milk is together. All right, so now it's all together. I'm just going to come in here with my hands and knead it. Just about 4 or 5 times. All right. And we'll just kind of pack it into a circle. And I'm going to put it in the refrigerator and let this chill for about 20 minutes or so. All right, so to the refrigerator. I will come back when I'm ready to get these on the pan. Okay, I have the oven preheated to 450, and I have a baking tray lined with parchment ready. So now I'm just going to grab the biscuits that have been chilling in the refrigerator. So these have been hanging out in the fridge chilling. I wanted to keep that fat in there nice and cold. So I am going to just put a little bit of flour on the board. I don't want it to stick. And then I have my bench scraper here in case it does start to stick. Now the trick to good biscuits is not to handle them a lot. I'm going to dust the top just a little bit. And I'm not going to roll these. Instead, I'm going to just pat them out. And I want to pat them out into a square. I also have some butter in the microwave that's melted. So that's what that beef is about. I'm going to let that melt one more round here. Okay, so I'm going to just pat these out into a square. And I want to kind of keep it squared up because I'm not going to use biscuit cutters. I'm just going to pat these out. So we'll just try to get them little corners. Let me see how thick that is. Okay, I need them a little bit, kind of in between 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. Right, that looks good. Let me see if I can get these corners again so we'll have a nice edge. Okay, so how do I want to do this? Let's see how many inches we got. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, almost 7. We'll try to get it right at 7. Or you know what, we could just, I'm going to just eyeball it. I'm going to do thirds. Probably like 9 biscuits out of here. That looks good. And then we'll do it the other way. Okay, that looks good. So we got 9 biscuits. The reason I cut these is, like I said, I don't want to handle them a lot. So if you're using a cutter, what happens is you end up re-rolling dough. So the goal of this is not to have to do that. Now I'll go on these end pieces and try to get it a little more square shaped. So that's it. Let's put these on the tray. And you want them kind of next to each other. Let me clean this board here. All right, let's see how to best do this. You could even cut these edges if you want them more perfectly square. Well, let's see. We'll just put them right like this, kind of up against each other. All right, let me get the butter. Now I generally will use the leftover buttermilk to brush these, but I used all of my buttermilk. So, nothing wrong with real butter going over the tops. You know, I'm not very happy with these brushes I got from Williams-Sonoma. They fall a lot. They fall out of the handle and they really fall apart very easily. So don't get the Williams-Sonoma brushes. You're better off just going to the hardware store and picking up a paint chip brush for about $1 compared to $4 or $5 for the Williams-Sonoma brand. All right, so we're just gonna have a little bit of space in between these biscuits. And now they're gonna go into the center rack of the 450-degree oven. Okay, these biscuits have been in the oven for about 25 minutes. And I'm gonna go ahead and take them out. There they are, all baked up. And then what I wanna do now is go ahead and hit it. Boy, this butter's already solidified. I'm just gonna brush the tops with butter again. Then I'm going to show you what one looks like when you cut it open. Let's get one off of here. Look how pretty that is. So hot. Might be a little bit too hot to cut. But there we have it. Oh, that's so nice and light and fluffy. And put some more butter. Can you go wrong with more butter on your biscuit? And then I have some Marionberry jelly that I like. We'll put that on. Let's give this a try. They're so delicate when you pick them up. Very good. Light, tender, Buttery. Very good. So, just to recap a little bit, if you don't have the white lily flour, which is at a 9% protein, a little bit more protein than a pastry flour, you'll want to make your own using all-purpose flour, cake flour, equal parts. That'll give you the 9% protein. So make that if you need to, and buy the buttermilk. Don't make your own. Just buy that buttermilk. It's totally worth it. Don't knead too much. Just till the dough comes together and you can form a disc with it. Refrigerate it so your dough's nice and chilled. And then don't roll it out. Just forget all that rolling it out and cutting it. That's more work. You're working the dough more. Just pat it out into a square and cut them, and then you're done. Really good, you guys. Please like, subscribe, and share. And if you want to see that, my goodness, I just can't stop eating these. If you want to see that taste comparison, where I use the different fats, go to my Facebook, The Righteous Kitchen, and look for that live video. That's it. This is my best biscuit offering to you. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching.